Okay, so now talking about the thorax on the second plastic model. Okay, so this is the thoracic cavity and this is the abdominal cavity separated by the diaphragm. The diaphragm is a very large muscle. It has got a peripheral muscular parts and a central tendinous parts. This is the right dome and the left dome of the diaphragm. The right dome is a little bit higher because of the presence of the liver. The diaphragm supports the right and left lungs and also the heart. The diaphragm contains 3 openings for passage of very important structures. Firstly, this is the caval opening. This is the caval opening for passage of the inferior vena cava. So this is the inferior vena cava. It will pass into the caval opening. The caval opening is at the level of the 8th thoracic vertebra. Okay, and it's important to know the other structures that pass through this and through the other openings as well. Okay, so next we've got the esophageal opening for passage of the esophagus. This is at the level of the 10th thoracic vertebra. So this is the esophagus. This is the esophagus. It lies behind the trachea. Okay. All right. And the next we've got the aortic opening. This is the aortic opening. It's at the level of the 12th thoracic vertebra for passage of the aorta. So this is the aorta. This is the inferior vena cava, and this is the aorta. The aorta will pass through the this opening, which is the aortic opening. Okay, and again, this is the aorta. This is the heart. So the aorta goes behind the heart, and it will arch like that. Okay, see if you can see this arch. This is the aorta. It will arch like this. So this is again the aorta. This is the superior vena cava. Okay, this is the superior vena cava. This is the aorta. Again the aorta. This is the esophagus, and this is the trachea. This is the larynx. All right, and okay, and talking a little about the thoracic cavity. It is divided into the right pleural cavity, the left pleural cavity, and also the mediastinum. The mediastinum is divided into 2 parts, the superior mediastinum and the inferior mediastinum. The inferior mediastinum is divided into 3 parts, posterior, middle, and anterior mediastinum. The heart lies in the middle mediastinum. Now talking about the thorax on the first plastic model. Okay, so this is the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. They are separated by the diaphragm. The diaphragm has some openings. This is the esophageal opening for passage of the esophagus. So this is the esophagus. The esophagus lies behind the trachea. This is the trachea, and you can better see that here. This is the trachea, and this is the esophagus. So the esophagus lies behind the trachea. This is the superior vena cava, and this is the aorta. The aorta will arch this way. See, it will arch around the heart this way. So this is again the aorta, and this is the left bronchus, one of the bifurcations of the trachea. This is the trachea, and at the level of the sternal angle, it will divide into 2 branches, the right and the left bronchi. The right one has been cut, but this is the left bronchus. The left bronchus is entering through the hilum or the root of the left lung. It will divide into 2 branches, the superior and the inferior lobar bronchi. So this is the superior lobar bronchus and the inferior lobar bronchus. Okay, and as we said, the esophagus passes through the esophageal opening, and here we've got the aortic opening for passage of the aorta. So this is the aorta. Okay, so the aorta comes like this all the way down, and it will pass into the aortic opening. And this is the inferior vena cava. Inferior vena cava. It will of course go up and pass through the caval opening, which is not obvious here. All right, and that's it. Okay, and one more structure that we need to know. This is the azygous vein. This is the azygous vein. So this is esophagus, aorta, azygous vein, trachea, superior vena cava. Now talking about the thorax on this plastinated model, this is the diaphragm, a very large muscle. This is the peripheral muscular part, and this is the central tendinous part. This is the right phrenic nerve, and this is the left phrenic nerve supplying the diaphragm. We've got three openings in the diaphragm. Firstly, this is the caval opening. Caval opening at the level of the 8th thoracic vertebra, and then we've got the esophageal opening at the level of the 10th thoracic vertebra, and finally we've got the aortic opening at the level of the 12th thoracic vertebra. Okay, it may not be very clear to actually determine where it exactly is, but this will be the aortic opening at the level of the 12th thoracic vertebra. Okay, the structures that pass through the caval opening are the inferior vena cava. So this is the inferior vena cava, and the right phrenic nerve. So the inferior vena cava and the right phrenic nerve pass through the caval opening. Next, we've got the esophageal opening. The structures that pass through the esophageal opening are the esophagus. So this is the esophagus, and also two nerves. They are the right and left vagus nerves. The left vagus nerve in the abdomen becomes anterior, and the right in the abdomen becomes posterior. But we have to say that this is the right vagus nerve and this is the left vagus nerve. Along with the esophagus, they pass through the esophageal opening. And we also have the epigastric artery passing through the esophageal opening, but we can't see that very clearly here. And then we've got the aortic opening for passage of the descending thoracic aorta. So this is the descending thoracic aorta. It will pass through the aortic opening, and in the abdomen it will become the abdominal aorta. It will become the abdominal aorta. This is not the only structure passing through the aortic opening, but we also have the thoracic duct. But we can't see that here. Now about the muscles of the thorax. This is the innermost intercostal muscle. If you can focus. This is the innermost intercostal muscle on the right side, and again on the left side, this is the innermost intercostal muscle. The intercostal vein pass between the innermost and internal intercostal muscles. Okay, so this is one of the internal intercostal muscles, and this is the innermost intercostal muscle. These are the intercostal vein. So this is the intercostal vein, the intercostal artery, and the intercostal nerve. It's more obvious on this side. This is the intercostal vein, the intercostal artery, and the intercostal nerve, superior to inferior vein. Okay, and on the outside, these are the external intercostal muscles. Intercostal muscles, and on the inside, these are the internal intercostal muscles. Internal intercostal muscles. Okay, and this is the diaphragm, this is the right dome of the diaphragm, and this is the left dome. The right dome is a little bit higher because of the presence of the liver. This is the liver. This was the esophagus. The esophagus will go to the stomach. This is the stomach. And here we've got the spinal cord. Okay, this is the spinal cord passing through the vertebra.